Hello, ITS Georgia members and guests. Welcome to our third monthly meeting of 2021. We have officially passed the 1-year anniversary for virtual meeting setting and still hopeful that an in-person option will be here by mid-year come the first of summer. Our ITS Georgia board is continuing to look ahead and plan for a fantastic 2021 and continue to work together to make decisions regarding our future meetings. We want to thank you for providing us all with grace as we move things forward. We have a lot of exciting things that are being planned and we'll keep you informed through our many different media platforms. And your voice is important to us. If any of you have any input or would like to get more involved with volunteering your time, please do not hesitate to reach out to me personally and any other board members or through our website. Just a quick look ahead. Got a few things I need to go over. One is this Friday, we have it's like a training on Friday, and let me find the piece of information. So ITS Georgia will be partnering with GDOT to host a virtual and interactive open house for the new video system that is a part of the new Navigator system. During the event, GDOT will provide information about how the new video system provides capabilities inside and outside of the Navigator platform, demonstrate the various features, and showcase different user profile capabilities. I do know we have already over 130 registrants, so please go over to the link, get signed up. That should be good, but it will be this Friday, so register quickly. Next month, our April meeting is going to continue on a virtual platform to hear about what is going on at MARTA. And our May meeting will also remain virtual, in which we will tune in to hear from our local universities for an update. And they have some pretty cool stuff going on, so please be sure to tune in. Only time will tell, but we could see our first in-person meeting scheduled at City Springs for June. So again, be on the lookout for that. And another reminder, Ty Alexander with AECOM is leading the efforts in planning our 2021 annual meeting this year. Please mark off your calendars to make the trip down to Savannah, Georgia this year on September 19th to the 21st for the program with a theme of On the Road Again. We should be on the lookout. We should see some opening on registrations maybe in the next month, some information on the technical program and things like that. So be on the lookout for that. I want to continue to show my appreciation for our ITS Georgia board and volunteers for guiding our organization. There have been many subcommittees formed, as I mentioned last month, with many meetings throughout the months to discuss many different items and topics. This is all volunteer time, and I just want to thank the individual board members as well as the companies, organizations they work for. It has been truly a team effort to move all of this forward in 2021. Another item just to bring up from one of our subcommittees is, as you hear internally with your companies and organizations, there was a challenge that was put to us by our keynote speaker, Andrew Heath, from our 2020 annual meeting. He mentioned he wanted to see more training out of our organization. So one thing we want you to be thinking about is, as you are doing training, providing internal training to any new hires or people you have within your organization, think about the question, how can I make this available to a larger audience? Because with those type of things, if you can do a video or something, we would like to post that on our ITS Georgia website and make that available to many. If you do have any questions or comments about it or any ideas or can send any videos over, Matt Glasser is a good person on the board, as well as Mark Stark, to do that. And you can always reach out to me or go on our website to also post a comment, question, or anything like that. And we'll get you in touch with the right person. And finally, I want to thank all of you for tuning in today to our third monthly meeting of 2021 to hear about connected vehicles in our state. We have a great panel who will be presenting to us very soon. But before we begin the technical side of this program, I want to present this month's sponsor, as we cannot keep these monthly meetings and our organization goals going without our sponsors. A big thank you to Shannon Fain with AirSage for your continued support with ITS Georgia. We look forward to hearing about you and your company, Shannon.
All right, thank you very much, Winter, for that introduction. Once again, I'm Shannon Fain from AirSage, and we are an Atlanta-based company that does work all over the world. I worked with AirSage back in the days, few years ago, and they asked me this last year, August 2020, to come back and head up their global transportation and planning market. So my territory is everywhere, but most of our bread and butter is here in the United States. So we are a big data company that is a big believer in providing data to make more informed decisions now and in the future. And we have 20 years of experience in that field, and that includes 4 patented algorithms that we own the rights to. And that's what really makes us stand apart from our competitors, is that we have data that's been massaged and expanded upon for over 20 years. So there's just a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge went into that over the years. To give you an idea of our clients, we go everywhere from USDOT to cities, counties, MPOs, state agencies, consultants, all the way even down to NASA. You're probably wondering what we do for NASA. Shoot me a message and I'll tell you the story about that, but that's one of our clients even. So we get our data from 250 million smart devices in the US alone. And we get the data through apps on those devices. So if you're visiting somewhere you've never been before and you say, I'm craving seafood, let me open up this restaurant app and have it show me the best seafood place in a 5-mile radius. Well, to get to that 5-mile radius, the app has to know where you're at that moment. So we get that GPS location, we purchase that from the apps that are out there, apply our algorithms, and that produces a finalized data set that is as close to reality as you're going to get. Obviously you can't do OD studies and cover every single person out there, but our data gives you by far the most answers to your questions. And the thing that a lot of engineers like, there's no hardware, no installation, no maintenance. Okay? So it's all just a digital format, data goes to you, no effort on your end. Okay. So we get lots of applications here, stuff that we never even thought of. So you can see here are some that I collected from clients where they come to me and say, hey, we want to use your data for this. We want to use it for that, including NASA, by the way. So it's pretty much limitless, the opportunities out there. Okay. Here's a good example real quick before I jump back off is a project we did out in Lake Tahoe, big tourist area. Any study you do out there is going to involve tourism. Well, for years, they had been assuming that they had 8 to 10 million visitors a year. Our data showed them that it was actually 24 million visitors a year. So for close to a decade, they were using the wrong assumption into models, studies, anything at all that involved visitation from tourists. So our data really opened their eyes to that. And the consultant that we worked with on this project actually won a Project of the Year award for this very contest. Okay. So if you have any big data needs where you want to see patterns, OD studies, tourism traffic, retail traffic, anything at all where the movement of people is what you're needing, we can help you out there. Okay. I'll turn things back over to Winter. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you again, Shannon, for the presentation. And yes, please reach out to Shannon if you'd like to know more. He's definitely got me intrigued by wanting to ask him about NASA. So I may be calling him soon about that. So now again, thank you for tuning in today to hear from our presenters, Maria, Alan, and Alex, regarding connected vehicles going to the next level. Let me give a brief introduction to our moderator, Esteban, so he can formally introduce our presenters. Esteban started his career at GDOT in the Office of Traffic Operations in 2014. He joined AECOM's transportation group this past January. Currently, his work focuses on ITS operations and communication infrastructure and technology. Esteban holds a Master's of Science in Civil Engineering from Georgia Tech, and on a personal level, he can usually be found riding his bicycle around the city, as well as what he left out across the United States of America. So I'm hoping Esteban will come out with a book on that and his adventures from him doing that during a pandemic. But with that, the floor is yours, Esteban.
Thanks, Winter. The book is on its way, still working on it. But thank you for the introduction. And please feel free to put all your questions in the chat box, and we'll be sure to get those out to the speakers and get them answered. And we'll be looking out for those. So our first speaker is Maria Roll. Maria is a principal planner at the Atlanta Regional Commission in the Transportation Group. Maria started at ARC as an intern and has been there for 7 years. Currently, her work focuses on operations, planning, transportation technology, and transportation equity. Maria holds a master's of City and Regional Planning and a Master's of Science in Civil Engineering from Georgia Institute of Technology. And Maria, I'll pass it on to you.
All right, thank you, Esteban. So I'm excited to talk to you all today. I am going to be kind of couching our connected vehicle efforts in with our regional Tismo planning. And I wanted to also remind you all of our regional Tismo strategic plan that we just finished last year that incorporated a lot of items that we're going to be sharing today, both at the local, state, and regional level. So we struck out on our strategic plan by assessing different regions and assessing those gaps and creating 5-year and 10-year action plans to get to our goals and vision for Tismo in the Atlanta region. And we came up with a lot of strategic initiatives, including strengthening the planning and institutions surrounding Tismo, enhancing data sharing, encouraging innovation within the region, but also to deploy a number of different technologies, specifically connected and automated vehicles, also advancing coordination and network communications between agencies, strengthening our work zone and event management, enhancing transit operations, as well as advancing mobility as a service. So a lot of the programs that I'm going to talk about today were picked out specifically within this strategic plan. And you can go and read through any of these items at our website, atlantaregional.org/Tismo. So just as a quick description of how we've laid this out, we have a number of actions for each of these initiatives. So we had 8 initiatives. We have 31 actions total between all of those initiatives. And then we have further checklist steps that are near, mid, and long term, which are plentiful. So definitely keeping me busy. And you can see why a lot of our programs are coming out of this plan, because there's a lot to it. So we've already started implementing the plan. We have formed a regional Tismo subcommittee that met on February 17th this year. We had over 40 people come representing local jurisdictions, transit operators, all of our regional partners, and our state partners as well. We also have several new regional programs in the works, and those include a joint data purchasing program that ARC is embarking on with GDOT, and of course, CB1K, our regional connected vehicle program, which I'll get into a bit more details on right now. So our CB1K program started last year, and we already have 722 intersections ready to either in the process of getting ready to get deployed or being deployed currently. This is a program that ARC is partnering with GDOT on. We are providing the federal dollars, and the local governments are putting in the 20% match. And GDOT is the actual agency in charge of going out and deploying all of these things. So it's been a great partnership so far. And a lot of the advantages of doing it this way include things like it is guaranteed to be integrated across jurisdictions because we're all putting in the same technology. It's also much, much more cost effective for local governments and for our federal share, because we're able to argue for a better price, essentially, since we're buying so many of them. And it also will lead to fewer system gaps. If all jurisdictions are able to put in this kind of technology, there's going to be way fewer gaps with people unable to participate. So that's really the three main reasons why we were so gung-ho about this deployment strategy. It was also specifically featured in both of our strategic plan and also in our other effort. While we created the strategic plan, we asked all the local governments what they most would like to see in terms of new technologies that they would like to implement. And overwhelmingly, they said that they would like to implement connected vehicles. So this is both meeting our local jurisdictions where they would like to go and the region where it will definitely benefit us. And in that vein, there are a lot of benefits for the local jurisdictions that are participating in this. On top of those three major benefits of it being more cost effective and there being fewer gaps, there's also the ability to utilize our new applications, things like preemption. People are already trying to put in preemption for emergency vehicles. Some people are interested in preemption for freight. You could also potentially use it for transit signal priority. And there are a lot of new pedestrian safety applications coming out every day as well that we would like to put into action in the region for sure. This deployment is also great for future-proofing new technologies, since we are making both DSRC and CV2X available. Definitely CV2X seems to be where the car companies are going. DSRC is where GDOT already has a ton of DSRC out there, so we could connect to that system as well. And having all of this ready and available for these new vehicles that are pretty much guaranteed to have it, I think starting in a couple years, we'll be having that CV2X available, really increases our ability to put in those safety features and have all of the safety features ready as soon as they hit the streets. So while it seems like it might be a long way off, it really isn't. And once they're in, it's going to be a short matter of time before new vehicles will be able to gain all of the safety benefits from that deployment. So one other thing I wanted to plug really quick is building off of our connected vehicle infrastructure is also affording us more opportunities as a region. One example of this is the ITS for Us complete trip deployment program that is being put on by USDOT. The ARC recently won funding from this program for our proposal called Safe Trips in a Connected Transportation Network, which we are working with Winnett to put in. Our project area right now is the Gwinnett County Transit Service Area, and we are working with the ATL on their trip planner called ATL Rides, and we are expanding that to include pedestrian safety and include our connected infrastructure that's going in to Gwinnett through the CV1K project. Will be able to connect to the pedestrian users of this app, and we are aiming to make mobility easier for folks with disabilities and low income and limited English proficiency users, and also better connect them to transit and better transit reliability. And they will reap a lot of the safety benefits from the connected vehicle infrastructure as well through this project. And we really, 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 really want to see this implemented regionally. Once we get this project underway and implemented in Gwinnett, we'll have a much better understanding of how to make this a regional application And having GDOT and the ATL on as partners in this project are going to make that strong reality. So that is it for me for right now. And I am excited to get your questions. And I'll hand it back to Esteban.
Thank you, Maria, for the great presentation. I have one question that came on. What efforts is ARC doing with other MPOs or states to expand CV technologies for users?
So we are in a number of different organizations like AMPO, the American MPO Association, and we have several technical working groups with other MPOs to discuss, especially things like data sharing and data management, which is one of the biggest questions that comes up with connected vehicles, because there's a lot of opportunity to get really good data out of connected vehicle infrastructure. So that is where a lot of our focus is, on getting those technical pieces put together in a better way. And I think that answered the question, although now I can't remember what the question was.
Yeah, I think it did.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for that. We'll keep, just a reminder for everybody, keep writing your questions in the chat box, and we'll move on to the next presenter, and then at the end we'll do a final round of questions for everybody. So our next speaker is Alexaffleck. Alex graduated from Georgia Institute of Technology with a Bachelor of Civil Engineering in 1998. He is a professional traffic operations engineer with over 20 years of experience in and around Winnett, with a variety of settings, including municipal and county agencies, public-private government solutions, and private consulting. So Alex, floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Esteban. I wanted to talk a little bit about today about how we're partnering with our stakeholders and to deliver connected vehicle initiatives from our invaluable partners at the state, including ARC and Georgia DOT, as well as all of our cities and CIDs. To give you a little bit of context about Winnett, wanted to throw some numbers at you. Engineers love numbers. We've got over 740 traffic signals. We're approaching 250 miles of fiber in the ground, 300 cameras. We've got a lot of devices out there that we are responsible for the primary maintenance of. Got a real robust and dense network. So got a good playground to roll out some of these connected vehicle initiatives. And, again, shout out on partnerships with Rizzo and RTOP, and then in the future, SIGOPS. We couldn't accomplish all that we do without their assistance on a significant percentage of our network. So one of the big partnerships that we had as part of this connected vehicle initiative, and I have heard that we've got about at least 250 more devices out there that have yet to be claimed. One of the things that we did, our assistant director and former ITS Georgia president, Tom Seaver, led an initiative to reach out to our cities and our CIDs in the affected areas to work on kind of leveraging our buy-in. We had a number of devices that we knew that we wanted to get in and participate on, but it couldn't cover everything. It couldn't cover all the areas that we needed. So we reached out to our cities. We've got 8 along the Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, Beaver Highway corridor on the west side of the county. And we've got 6 community improvement districts in the purple there. So we reached out to all of them, and through the partnerships, they chipped in, a number of them chipped in cash to help us make sure that we have broader coverage, make sure that we've got, that we've got all the gaps filled, that we've covered all the areas, even some of the remote spots. This partnering with our CIDs and our cities allowed us to cover more areas more comprehensively. Also, another really big thing that this helped us do is most of our transit routes for Gwinnett County Transit, Gwinnett County Transit is also in the Gwinnett County DOT. So, Karen Winger is one of our good friends and stakeholders, and we work closely together. We're going to be doing a whole lot more coming up soon. But most of the transit routes are along that Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, Beaufort Highway corridor. So over in that western corner of the county, and the enhanced deployment and more greater coverage allows us to more comprehensively cover our bus routes for transit signal priority. So the connected vehicle initiatives that we're excited to dig in is, first, I wanted to step back a second and talk about why we're excited, why all of us are. I know that this connected vehicle technology is coming at us. We're all excited for it. Connected and autonomous vehicles are going to fundamentally transform transportation and the culture along with it. The last time we had a fundamental change like this that we're about to undergo was with the construction of the interstate system started by President Eisenhower in the late 50s. And one of the great ways to see those societal changes is through pop culture. And like the Jetsons had more to do with response to expansion of the suburbs than flying cars, unfortunately. But even as recently as 2006, the Pixar movie Cars explores the impact of the creation of the interstate system. And I think this is a thing that we're at the beginning of, really excited to see some of the big changes that come out of it and what all of the fundamental transformation that comes out of it. So all that to say, we're entering a new era and we're excited to see what's coming out of it. So we started with our Connected Vehicle Technology Master Plan. That was in partnership with Georgia Tech and their Smart Cities program, which is phenomenal, and everybody should try and take the opportunity to participate in that in some shape or fashion. That helped build a state of the industry document and kind of set a roadmap for how Gwinnett County is going to deploy connected vehicle technology across the county. Part of why Georgia Tech selected Gwinnett County for that is Gwinnett goes from pretty urban to pretty rural. And so how we would deploy it and what initiatives, what applications we would use, are pretty applicable. They've got broad applicability. And that's a document that is available on our website. If you want to hit me up, I can give you a direct link to where you can peruse that thing for yourself. And then we've participated in the initial round of GDOT connected vehicle integration and deployment. And we're looking forward to participating in the regional connected vehicle program, the CV1K. We've got an upcoming smart corridor project and really excited about the ITS for us that Maria talked about. One of the really big things that we wanted to make sure that we've got is there's a lot of cool data and a lot of cool applications that we can do, but we need to be able to show something to the public. We've got to have something that anybody can see and touch. I love the pedestrian applications that Maria was talking about. One of the things that we've been looking at for like the Connected Vehicle Technology Master Plan and ITS for us is being able to, somebody pushes the PED button, we can broadcast that a pedestrian is present. And consider taking that same sort of message when we've got a transit bus stopped and the door is open, can broadcast a similar message to watch for pedestrians, because when the door is open, you're going to have some walking. But other big things that people can see and feel and get on kind of a visceral level is emergency vehicle preemption and transit signal priority. And those are two big initiatives that we want to make sure that we try to present to the public. So with our transit, our buses are basically rolling servers. They've got the fare box and mobile ticketing. They've got Wi-Fi for the customers. They've got security, a number of cameras that are all pulling feeds back and streaming to law enforcement to make sure that the riders feel comfortable and are being monitored. That's a substantial load. Our ATMS system, we've got the 250 miles of fiber, and we've got a handful of wireless devices bringing it back in on cellular now, but we're going to be growing that to, our goal is by the end of next year, have 100% coverage of all of our traffic signals and be able to pull them all back to our traffic control center. We've got a major network. One of the things that our administration has done is they have approved a new position for us this year for somebody who is going to be kind of at the center of all of these initiatives to make sure that our transit system, our traffic system, and our information technology office all are in harmony, and all the initiatives can be deployed successfully. Things that we've got going on that we're going to have this new person hustling with is we've got a FTA grant with wireless upgrade needing multi-agency support. The transit IT architecture is being updated, and then we're rolling out cellular communication to 200 to 250 signals in the next 18 months. And all of these connected vehicle initiatives with ITS for Us and our smart corridor and other things. One of the other pieces that has come out of the smart corridor, the connected vehicle technology master plan, is we wanted to try and have some before and after data to kind of really dig into the numbers of the impact to us for what does the emergency vehicle preemption and transit signal priority do. So one of the things that we did in the before case is we work with Georgia Tech to put devices on each of our fire trucks on the west side of the county, and then compared that with the second-by-second data from the traffic signal controllers. And one of the things that we collected, one of the many things that we collected out of that was the numbers of arrivals on red for our fire apparatus. As you can see, we've got this fire station on North Berkeley that is not terribly far, about 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet from the traffic signal, and most of the time it's arriving on red. If we can change some of those reds on the left side to greens or at least yellows, then we can provide more service. One of the big things for the county is the investment in something like this, and also integrating it with our computer-aided dispatch, may be a better investment than building another fire station, because ultimately the goal is to reduce your service times. And this is one of the opportunities that we've got to reduce our service times. And we're looking forward to partnering with, continuing to partner with Georgia Tech to perform kind of an after evaluation and look at the impact of signal delays, and look at the before and after and help with the fine tuning, and then help to develop methodologies and algorithms to operate across consecutive intersections, looking at ways that we can help reduce that going on into the future. So those are a number of the things that we've got coming up. We're more than happy to talk about applications kind of endlessly. We've all got great ideas about things that we want to do and things that we want to accomplish with connected vehicle technology, and just really looking forward to having an opportunity to get it out on the ground and start seeing what some of the real impacts and use are. So, and appreciate ITS Georgia inviting us to come and talk today.
Great, thank you, Alex, for the great presentation. Definitely the county is going the right direction with all this technology and implementation. So we don't run out of time. We're just gonna hold some of the questions and until the end for everybody. So we'll go ahead with our final speaker, which is Alan Davis from GDOT. So Alan Davis currently serves as assistant state traffic engineer with the Georgia Department of Transportation and oversees the SIGOPS traffic signal operations and maintenance programs for the department. Alan also leads the department's efforts in connected vehicle deployments and applications. Alan is a registered professional engineer in the state of Georgia and South Carolina, and a professional traffic operations engineer. Alan is a 2006 graduate of the University of South Carolina. So Alan, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Esteban. Looking forward to your book coming out soon. I want to just give a quick update on where Georgia connected vehicles are from the GDOT perspective, and talk about a little bit about this concept of connected intersections and some work that's been going on between many different agencies and organizations, including USDOT and ITE. We'll get into that in just a minute. And just a quick look at connected vehicles in Georgia and where we are and the progress we've made over the past few years. A quick recap over the past really 5 years, we really see a growing program, not only within GDOT, but also with many partners, both at the federal level and at the local level. Remember back in 2017, we started off on our connected vehicle journey with the AASHTO SPAT Challenge and deployed our first 54 intersections with connected vehicle technology roadside units. Those went live in 2018, broadcasting signal phasing and timing information, or SPAT. All of our applications demonstrated there were traffic signal based. It was a successful deployment, so we decided to scale things up and looked at a regional expansion and looked to deploy this technology at signalized intersections across the Metro Atlanta region on our top now SIGOPS footprint, looking at over 1,600 intersections where we could implement this technology. We were looking for this to be a program, not just a pilot, but something that really was deliberate in equipping the entire region. In 2019, we gained some further traction with USDOT partnerships through an ATC MTD grant that funded this deployment in part. In 2020, you heard earlier from Maria about the ARC CV1K partnership, and we're really excited about that. Our target of 1,000 intersections is well on its way, with over 700 intersections proposed in the program. We're really excited for how that's taken off and moving forward. And it's really an incredible effort to see the local participation that exists there and the partnership between the metro area and all the different organizations in that effort. And even this past year, we've been fortunate to receive yet another USDOT grant for deploying connected vehicle infrastructure and applications. This one is focused on emergency vehicle preemption and first responders, looking at not only ambulance responders, but also our hero units in Midtown Atlanta, and looking to deploy a scalable solution there that we'll look forward to sharing more and more on in the future as it progresses. And just to look at the numbers, all these efforts combined, just from our perspective, we're looking at over 2,600 RSUs deployed, over 2,600 intersections across the state equipped with this technology that is proven to improve safety and mobility and truly save lives. We're really excited about that. We're excited about the partnerships that exist there and look forward to a very connected future. I used to show a map of these deployments just to give you a perspective, and it was focused on the Atlanta area, but we're lucky that we got to zoom that map out now, and we have deployments down in Savannah around the port area, over in West Georgia on I-85 in partnership with the Ray and Panasonic. And you see our deployments there in blue in Metro Atlanta, as well as those green stars there that show the different CB1K locations that have already started the process and partnering with us there. This is really exciting to see this map get filled up with deployments. And I want to point out too that because of a lot of the investments that we've made in the past years, any traffic signal running GDOT software in the state is ready for this technology. It's connected vehicle ready. So we think we've really got infrastructure primed for this effort. Really focuses on this timeline, if I could sum it up, to our initial deployments through RTOP and now SIGOPS, our partnership with ARC and local governments for broader deployments, and really now expanding on use cases and applications for both public and private fleets. We've got a number of different things going on right now that can really leverage this technology, including an emergency vehicle preemption demonstration we did with Gwinnett County, transit signal priority we have implemented and have it running and operational in Midtown Atlanta with the ATL, a freight priority pilot with a private freight carrier down towards the port, really trying to leverage improved freight logistics. Our partnerships with Array on I-85, as well as with some OEMs and tier 1 suppliers to really leverage that infrastructure and expanding out its use cases in a number of different and exciting ways. And not to mention the other efforts and partnerships you've heard about from our other speakers with the Gwinnett County Smart Corridor, as well as the ITS for Us effort. There's a lot going on, a lot of effort and investment here, and you really start to see this build up. But getting into this connected intersection world, really two data streams that come out of these areas, and a lot of the focus where we see this and a lot of the efforts that have been put into applications infrastructure is on the safety side of things. So that pathway from the infrastructure to a roadside unit directly to the vehicle to support time-sensitive safety or automotive-grade applications. That really gets into this world of connected intersections. So what in the world is that, besides an obvious name? This is a USDOT effort that really said, okay, we've got these deployments at intersections. We've got connected vehicle infrastructure coming out there that has put out there. And some of the testing that some OEMs had done, there was some question about the quality of data or whether or not there were gaps in standards that existed out there, things that needed to be addressed. Not that standards were wrong, but that in order to run particular applications, particularly safety applications, leveraging this data from roadside infrastructure, there needed to be more. So this is a target that built on a lot of previous work for consistency and deployment to say what's really needed to support a safety critical application like red light violation warning. So ITE led up in partnership with the USDOT and a number of different organizations like AASHTO and NEMA got together and said, let's take this infrastructure, this connected intersection, and go through what's there and the data elements that's needed to support a safety application like red light violation warning. What needs to be present in that red area you see on the slides here, from that data coming from that roadside unit to an onboard unit or a mobile unit to really support these kinds of applications. So they dug into this effort for the better part of the pandemic. There have been hours upon hours upon hours of Zoom meetings and Microsoft Teams meetings and working through lots of complicated standards-ish work to really dive into this data and make sure that there was a consistent place for applications and implementation for safety applications. one of the, to give an example of the effort that came out of there, was one of the big problems that was present within the existing SPAT, or signal phasing and timing message framework, was basically how actuated signal control works. So if you're familiar with how traffic signals with detection FM works, you know that when a signal controller is making its decision on when to terminate a phase and serve another, it doesn't really make that decision until really close to terminating the phase. So traditionally, you'd see probably about 100 milliseconds of what's called assured green time, where the signal controller knows exactly what it's going to do next. To support something like red light violation warning, where you potentially may be wanting to stop a vehicle entering an intersection because the light is turning red, you need more time than 100 milliseconds. Shocking, I know. So it's really set out to define where can we establish in a standard implementation that these data elements known as the minimum time to green and the maximum amount of time to green were equal. Like, that gave us as much certainty as we could, because that's what the automakers were stating to both infrastructure operator owners and to the controller industry, signal controller industry, what was needed for this application. We need a period of time where we're as close to 100% sure that the phase is going to terminate for a light. So we developed this idea around assured green time. One of the many outcomes or products we developed, the connected intersection effort. To give you an idea of what that looks like, this was a test implementation of the idea that we did on one of our corridors, where you see this video here showing the feed from the RSU onto a HMI in a vehicle. This intersection is in what we call a resting green state. So it is a coordinated mode where the side street is open to be served at any point within that window. Since there were no vehicles that came up there, the core window came back around and recycled. Typically we would see that the countdown timer on the application here would show 0, because there's basically 0 seconds. That 100 milliseconds is the minimum amount of time that light could be in this state. By adding in this assured green time, we were able to establish a threshold of, in this instance, 9 seconds of guaranteed time, where there's a definitive window where we know that the light is going to have until it changes from green to yellow to red. That's a big step to be able to provide that assurance. It's not perfect or foolproof the way we implemented it, but it's just part of the effort and the product that the connected intersection effort can produce to have consistency deployments of applications and data coming from infrastructure. Another big piece of this effort was security. I think most of the more challenging requirements of a connected intersection deployment revolve around security, and it raised a lot of interesting questions. It went well beyond just security credentialing, and that's the signing of these messages coming to and from infrastructure, authenticated back to a common root that says, I'm a traffic signal, I'm producing data, and you can trust me. It's well beyond that. A lot of questions came up from the infrastructure of, does a traffic signal controller itself need to have this thing called a hardware security module, which is a special chip that's present on roadside units that is used to do a lot of the encryption and signing of these messages. There was a lot of discussion around what your center to field network security looks like. Are you doing best practices as an agency to ensure that data from your traffic management center, transportation management center, your traffic control center going to your infrastructure is secure? Is it encrypted end to end? Are you doing things to prevent things like man-in-the-middle attacks on that data? And generally, most of this can be accomplished through good IT policy, but there's a lot of things where it needs to be spelled out, needs to be identified to be able to show that a connected intersection is something that can be deployed and managed and maintained in a secure fashion. There's a lot of debate around this, a lot of requirements that came from it that may not be possible, but that's part of the effort that wants to be explored through this. Another big piece of this was actually after the recommended guidance for implementation was produced, was testing it. Is it something that could be stood up? What is the level of effort for existing deployments to be able to create this connected intersection data to get essentially the gold star by your deployments to say that you are ready for a safety application like red light violation warning? The Connected Intersections Committee generally expected, maybe 5 or 6 organizations or agencies to respond. They got 15. It was an overwhelming response, and I think it is a statement to the health of the deployment of connected vehicle infrastructure across the country. It's strong, it's substantial. There are a number of players across the country who have invested a lot of resources in this to stand up connected vehicle applications from the infrastructure side. Unfortunately, the CI committee did not really plan on that kind of response. Initially, they had planned on incorporating all 15 respondents into some sort of validation of this effort. But given their resource constraints, essentially 2 or 3 people that were working on it, they were only able to do field validations for 4 locations, that being Ann Arbor, Michigan, where they are housed, Columbus, Ohio, where Drive Ohio is, supported by a consultant there, Salt Lake City with Utah DOT, and then Maricopa County, Arizona. And again, they cited these resource constraints as why they wouldn't work with all 15 sites directly for field validations. But they do want to incorporate their work and get responses and feedback for the effort. They've asked the other organizations that have put in for this to go through the documentation for connected intersections and identify what constraints there are in implementation. We went through that effort early on, even before we responded as an interested party. And just to give you an idea of what some of those gaps and challenges may be, here's a few that I'll touch on here. One of the big things is GPS good enough? I think we've all seen how the challenges of urban canyons and trees and things like that and the effect it has on GPS signals. The need for maritime RTCM, Radio Technical Commission for Maritime Position Correction, was needed. That was originally identified as a high need, but the implementation of it seemed too daunting for many of the organizations. GDOT had a plan to pursue it. We may still do that as an effort. I think there's a good investment there, but we will just have to see. There's some other things in here that are a challenge. Adoption of NTCIP 1203 version 3A as a standard for your signal controllers was deemed as a necessity for a connected intersection. I'm not aware of any controller manufacturer who has fully implemented 1203, or sorry, I think that should be 1202, V3. And that could be a real challenge is if your requirement here is for a standard set that no one is implementing, can a connected intersection really work? I think yes, it just needs to be, you need to identify what in NTCIP is important. Another one of spat latency, less than 200 milliseconds. So they wanted a way to measure when the controller sends out the command to turn a light red, yellow, or green, how long before the radio can broadcast it and be received by an OBU as compared to when it is displayed on a actual signal head. They wanted that to be less than 200 milliseconds. It's probably something that's pretty untestable unless you do a ridiculous camera rig out there to really look at it. All that to say is there's a few things here that were challenges, but things that we were ready as an agency to stand up and pursue and see if it's something that we could implement within our existing deployments. Overall, it's an important effort. I think it does a lot to build trust between OEMs and IOOs and connected vehicle deployments. And at large, we do stand ready to participate and support the effort. With that, I'll conclude and open up for questions. I think we got a little bit of time. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, we got one question for you specifically. The question is, how durable have your RSUs been? Have any of them required major maintenance or replacement?
I wish I had actual numbers for you. I have close to numbers of ones that have failed. I think we've had 3 recently that have failed from, one got hit by a tree that fell, and I think 2 had some water incursion. So from a mechanical standpoint, most of them have been fairly robust. From a hardware standpoint, we've had some issues with software, things get bricked here and there, but it's been a low percentage of devices that have actually had some level of failure to them. So overall, pretty resilient, pretty hardy.
Cool, thanks for that. And now I have a general question for kind of you and the other speakers, but since you're spaces online, you can start. Well, and I remember one of my first ITS meetings, or I mean, this was a few years ago. CV still kind of seemed like an abstract idea, but now it's all of these things are actually getting implemented and deployed, which is good to see. And my question is, up until this point, what are some initial lessons learned that you can share with the group?
I'll jump on that first. I think one of the biggest lessons we've learned is that many of the investments you make to stand up connected vehicle infrastructure are things you need in general for basic traffic management. Communications network, security practices, advanced, in the case of traffic signals, advanced traffic signal controllers. Those are all things that you need to do for general maintenance and management and operations of a system from a traffic perspective. So I think the investment in CV, most of it is things you should really be doing anyways. And then adding on that radio part is really not expensive, especially when you factor in the value of safety and mobility that comes from the technology and its applications.
Yeah, I would reinforce everything that Alan said. Investing in the infrastructure is critical, and also being patient. A lot of these things take a lot of time to roll out. There's a lot in our digital world that wants instant gratification, but we need to make sure that we manage everybody's expectations. That we're rolling these things out as quickly as we can, but we want to do it measured and measured and use our good engineering judgment. And patience is helpful. Grace is good.
Yeah, I think ARC is in a little bit of a different position, as we're not operating anything or actively, putting radios into boxes. But there is something to having everyone in the room together that needs to be there, including your IT folks on the front end. It makes things a lot easier. They will tell you if your communication network isn't set up for this. So I think that will definitely be one of the most important steps at the beginning.
Great. Thank you guys, speakers, for your time in this. And it's close to 1 o'clock already, and I don't think we have any more questions. If you have any that you want, you can just write in the chat or email Bill, and we'll get them answered for you. And I'll pass it on to Winter again to close this off. Thanks, everyone.
All right. I want to thank Esteban as moderator and Maria, Alex, and Alan for their time today and providing us with great information on the connected vehicle platform here locally. Sounds to me like partnerships is key. Having a focus on safety is always good. And then as well as it was nice to hear a discussion about entering a new era. So those are things I kind of took away from this. Very informative. Thank you all. If you still, as Esteban said, if you still have questions, do not hesitate to go to the ITS Georgia website and contact us, as we will do our best to get an answer for you. Again, a big shout out to this month's sponsor, Shannon, and the AirSage team. And thank you so much for supporting ITS Georgia. Just a couple of reminders before we officially close out. Reminder for this Friday, go sign up, register for the virtual interactive open house for the new GDOT video system. Please tune in next month, as we will be back virtually April 28th to hear about an update on MARTA. And May will provide us insight into what is going on with our local universities. Feel free to reach out to me or any of the board members if you would like to get more involved in ITS Georgia and one of our committees. We have a lot of exciting things planned this year and could use all the help we can get. Keep an eye out for ITS Georgia emails, social media announcements to stay informed. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me or go to the ITS Georgia website link and click Contact Us. Thank you all again for joining us today. Please continue to stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing you virtually next month and in person, hopefully soon. Thanks again. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.